Take a look at your screen as we continue with your top political headlines. You can see Americans have made their choice for the next president, but how is the rest of the world reacting to this news? Fox's Caroline Shively has some answers from Washington.
Reactions to the presidential race pouring in Wednesday, not only from the U.S. Americans abroad and world leaders are also chiming in on the results, some with congratulatory messages for President-elect Trump.
As the closest of allies, the UK and US will continue to work together to protect our shared values of freedom and democracy.
While others express some worry.
Quite obviously, there is another risk, a reduced commitment to Ukraine.
Incredible.
Trump has promised a very different vision of foreign relations than the Biden administration, pledging to end the Ukrainian-Russian war his first day on the job and impose huge tariffs on imports, while also threatening not to defend NATO countries that don't meet their defense spending targets. That's getting mixed reaction from world leaders and Americans overseas.
I'm a little disappointed, not as surprised as I was as 2016. A bit scared now what's going to happen the next 4 years and beyond.
I am very concerned about what this possible new administration would do or what they would say about a woman's body and a woman's right on our reproductive.
Donald Trump is a lot stronger, more aggressive president, which intimidates a lot of people. But at the same time, I think it also helps with order around the world.
One person not weighing in, Russian President Vladimir Putin. A Kremlin spokesman Wednesday telling reporters no congratulations call is scheduled, saying relations between the two countries are at a historical low point. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Caroline, thank you so much, and joining us live this Thursday to further discuss this international reaction, specifically to Ukrainian reaction, is Dr. Olena Lennon. She's a Ukrainian native, also professor with the University of New Haven. Dr. Lennon, good morning. Always a pleasure when we get to have you on the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So a lot to dissect. We finally know who won the 2024 presidential race. That is President-elect Donald Trump, who will be entering for a second term in office. I would love to know a first reaction as we discuss this international response, because as he wins this presidential race, the Ukraine-Russia war still continues.
Yeah, absolutely. The United States is the largest provider of military aid to Ukraine. And of course, the Ukrainians have been watching this election very closely. But at the same time, Ukrainians have been very careful not to take sides and not to signal preferences leading up to the election itself. Because they understand that they need to work with either administration and both administrations potentially, and they were very careful not to signal any preferences in that regard. So, as you know, President Zelensky was one of the first world leaders to congratulate President Trump, President-elect Trump, to indicate that they're willing to work with whoever takes the White House, and that deterring Russia or resisting Russia's aggression in Ukraine remains a global issue of interest to the United States, and that hopefully military aid to Ukraine will continue. And I think one of the things that is very important to Ukraine right now is to make it clear to the incoming administration, or Trump's administration, however it looks in January, that not helping Ukraine now will actually be more expensive down the road. So there is an expectation that rational choice will prevail, and then the Trump administration will understand that helping Ukraine now is actually more cost-effective and more beneficial to the U.S. national interest as well.
Very interesting points you're raising this morning, Dr. Lennon. Thank you so much for that detailed breakdown, because we know Ukraine is entering winter, and that will be a very pivotal time for this war. One thing you mentioned, though, Ukrainians being careful not to pick sides, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because you mentioned how Ukrainian President Zelensky was one of the first people to congratulate Trump. But if we look at the Russian side, we've been told, and we've also heard from President-elect Trump, that he and the Russian President Putin have a close relationship. Do you think this is kind of convoluted as it relates to the U.S.-Ukraine relationship? We do know that as it relates to world leaders that Trump does have a lot of respect from them. And there's concern this morning from viewers that as he has respect from both sides, that could kind of blur the lines of the war.
Yes, absolutely. Trump made it very clear in no ambiguous terms that he likes Putin's style, his leadership style, and that he could negotiate the end of the war with Putin directly, and that he could end this war. And of course, he made it very clear that ending the war basically means reducing military aid to Ukraine, and potentially forcing Zelensky to a negotiating table during which potentially Ukraine will be forced to cede territory currently occupied by Russia to deconflict that line of separation and end the war that way. So for Ukraine, that basically translates into capitulation. And so far, the Biden administration has not pushed Zelensky in that direction because they understood that Ukraine cannot possibly agree to those terms of a ceasefire that would translate into nothing short of capitulation. So yes, there are definitely fears that Trump could, in fact, move this war in that direction, and that the military aid will be reduced, if not withdrawn, and that Trump's peace formula does, in fact, coincide with Putin's peace formula, which basically means Russia controlling Ukraine entirely. And Ukraine ceding territory. That is a very real fear that Ukrainians have right now. But at the same time, they remain hopeful and optimistic that the next Trump administration will reconsider withdrawing help from Ukraine because they will realize, if nothing else, that Russia's cooperation with North Korea and China is further indication that Russia is no friend to the United States, that one of the commonalities that Russia has with China and North Korea and Iran is an extreme anti-Western, anti-American position. And hopefully this will not be lost on Trump.
Yeah, absolutely. Because as you mentioned, North Korea, we know that some of their troops are aiding Russia in this fight. So I'm so glad you mentioned that. As we discuss the Biden-Harris administration as it relates to what the Trump administration will look like, we know we are looking ahead to that transfer of power, a peaceful one, hopefully. And we are wanting to know, as it relates to the Biden-Harris administration, has that response to the Ukraine-Russia war been enough for Ukrainians? We know more aid has been asked of by the U.S. We do know that Congress did pass those aid packages, but what more is needed? What did not happen under that Biden-Harris administration that you all are hoping the Trump-Vance administration will be able to do? I know you did mention a ceasefire, so I guess my next question also is top of mind, the war ending.
Right. So the Biden administration has been supportive, of course, in the provision of military aid. But one thing that the Ukrainians are still waiting for is the green light to use American-made long-range weapons to strike Russian positions, military targets in Russia. That is something that the Ukrainian forces have been constrained by, and that remains to be one of the asks from the Biden administration before he leaves office, to in fact allow Ukrainians to use American weapons in the most tactically and strategically sound way, and that is to prevent Russia from launching attacks into Ukraine from the Russian military sites that Ukraine could target with American weapons. So far that had remained a restriction, and there has been many advocacy campaigns to remove that restriction, to allow Ukraine to prevent Russian advances, especially in eastern Ukraine now. Hopefully before Biden leaves office, that restriction will be lifted, and that will significantly help Ukraine to push the Russians back, and at the very least prevent these massive attacks on Ukrainian energy infrastructure going into the winter, and not leave Ukrainians without any sources of heat and electricity in the winter. So there's still a lot that Biden can do before he leaves office. and that remains the hope currently, and that restriction will be lifted. But of course, Ukraine also needs to continue planning its counteroffensive operations, and they cannot be planning anything really without knowing exactly how much ammunition and weapons and soldiers they will have. And so a lot will depend on the White House and what promises of aid will be delivered so that Ukraine can plan accordingly.
Dr. Olena Lennon, always a pleasure having you on the show. We appreciate your candidness and thoroughness as it relates to a Trump administration and how it relates to the Ukraine-Russia war. Thank you so much for taking out of the time. Very busy schedule, as I know you have, but we appreciate you joining us on this Thursday morning. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you.